Let me ask you a question today. What if you started thinking like money is chasing you? What if instead of you running after money, opportunities, and success, you became the person that success is desperately looking for? You see, Jim Rohn once said, "Success is something you attract by the person you become." That's not just philosophy, that's wealth wisdom, that's the secret. Wealth doesn't chase confusion. It doesn't chase laziness. It doesn't chase wishful thinking. Wealth chases clarity. It chases discipline. It chases vision, hunger, and action. Wealth does not respond to wishful thinking or hollow ambition. It gravitates toward individuals who offer undeniable value. The foundation of attracting wealth is not in chasing money, but in becoming a person of such high value that money is naturally drawn to you. This idea flips the script on how most people view financial success. Most believe they need to hustle harder, work longer hours, or be born into the right circumstances. But the real secret lies in who you are becoming, not just what you are doing. When you focus on becoming a person of value, you shift from external goals to internal transformation. Jim Rohn taught that success is something you attract by the person you become. That means wealth is the result of personal growth. It begins with your character, your mindset, your work ethic, your discipline, and your ability to serve others in meaningful ways. You don't have to beg for opportunities when you're excellent at what you do. You don't have to chase money when your skills, attitude, and results command it. Value is about usefulness, reliability, and trust. It's about developing the qualities that make you indispensable. Ask yourself, what problems can you solve? What needs can you meet? The marketplace rewards those who solve real problems better than others. If you want to make more money, don't complain about the system. Improve your contribution, study your industry, learn more, do more, be more. Raise your standards until people can't help but notice the difference. Because in the end, people pay for results, not excuses. Becoming valuable doesn't mean trying to impress people. It means investing in yourself so deeply that your skills and mindset speak louder than your words. It means mastering your craft, committing to lifelong learning, and showing up with integrity and passion. When you become the kind of person who delivers above expectations, over time, you build a reputation that attracts wealth. People will come looking for you, not because you asked, but because you earned it. There is a distinct difference between people who chase money and those who attract it. The chasers often burn out. They run in circles, constantly moving but never arriving. They're always looking for the next quick fix, the next big thing. But those who focus on value play the long game. They know that becoming is more powerful than begging. They understand that real wealth is built from the inside out. Becoming valuable is also about your attitude. It's about showing up with enthusiasm, being coachable, staying humble, and constantly looking for ways to grow. The person who is always learning, always improving, always giving their best, that person becomes unstoppable. That's the person who commands higher pay, builds stronger relationships, and earns lasting respect. Value also comes from consistency. One great day won't change your life, but consistent effort will. When you commit to showing up every day with purpose and excellence, you build momentum, and momentum turns into mastery. Mastery leads to demand. Demand leads to income, and that income becomes wealth when you manage and multiply it wisely. Wealth doesn't just look for hard work. It looks for smart, intentional, value-driven work. It looks for people who solve problems, inspire others, and leave a positive impact. The secret is to stop asking, "How can I make more money?" and start asking, "How can I become more valuable?" When you answer that question with action, everything changes. Even if you start with nothing, you can begin building value. You can read a book. You can take a course. You can practice your craft. You can study success. You can serve others with what you already have. Every step you take towards self-development increases your worth in the marketplace. And as your value grows, so does your income, your confidence, and your freedom. Think about the people who inspire you most, the successful, wealthy, respected individuals. They weren't born with magic. They weren't handed success. They became valuable through intention, discipline, and focus. They paid the price in private so they could be rewarded in public, and you can do the same. The bottom line is this: stop chasing money and start chasing excellence. Stop focusing on what you lack and start focusing on what you can build. Become the kind of person who attracts wealth by the way you think, act, and serve. Money is not the goal, it's the result. The real goal is to become so good, so reliable, so impactful, that money has no choice but to chase you. Changing the question from "can I afford it" to "how can I afford it" is more than just a shift in language. It's a complete transformation in mindset. One question shuts down possibility. The other opens the door to creativity, solutions, and resourcefulness. When someone says, "Can I afford it?" they are usually focusing on their current bank account, current salary, or current circumstances. They are accepting limitations as facts and often concluding that something is out of reach. That question often ends with no, and with it ends the conversation. But when you ask, "How can I afford it?" you invite your brain to work for you instead of against you. You shift your thinking from scarcity to strategy, from helplessness to empowerment. This is a core secret of the wealth mindset. Wealthy individuals don't look at money as a fixed pie. They don't see lack as the default. They see abundance, opportunity, and the ability to generate solutions. The poor mindset sees obstacles as permanent. The wealthy mindset sees them as puzzles waiting to be solved. How can I afford it? Is a question that says, I believe there is a way, I just need to find it. And that belief is everything. Children understand this naturally. If a child wants a toy and is told it costs too much, the next thing out of their mouth is often, "Then can I do some chores?" Or "Can I sell something?" Or "Can I save up?" They instinctively shift toward a solution. Somewhere along the way, many adults lose that resourcefulness. They replace curiosity with complaint. They accept their financial status as permanent instead of changeable. That's the first thing you have to challenge. Nothing about your financial reality is fixed. What's fixed is your mindset. Until you change it, asking "how can I afford it" doesn't mean you recklessly spend money you don't have. It means you think in terms of creation instead of limitation. Instead of shrinking your dreams to fit your income, you grow your income to fit your dreams. You begin to understand that your earning power is tied directly to your ability to solve problems, meet needs, and bring value into the world. Every time you ask, "How can I afford it?" you're also asking, "What more can I learn? What can I offer? Where can I grow?" That question leads to action. It leads to plans, new income streams, side hustles, skill development, or better money management. It helps you take responsibility, because the truth is, wealth doesn't just arrive one day. It's built piece by piece, decision by decision. Every wealthy person you admire once stood where you are, facing the same questions. But they asked better questions, not "can I," but "how can I," that made all the difference. Jim Rohn often reminded us that it's not the blowing of the wind that determines your direction, but the set of your sail. Asking "how can I afford it" is like adjusting your sail. Life may throw storms at you, but you can still steer toward abundance if your mindset is correct. You're not a victim of circumstances, you're the architect of your choices. That's powerful, that's liberating. There's also a subtle beauty in this mindset. It reinforces patience and strategic thinking. Sometimes the answer to "how can I afford it" is "not yet, but here's what I need to do." That's where real discipline is born. Instead of spending out of emotion or impulse, you begin to plan your wealth. You delay gratification, you build reserves, you prepare, you grow into the level where you can afford it, not just with cash, but with confidence. This mindset also trains you to value your time and energy differently. You begin to ask, "What is my time worth? And how can I make money work for me?" instead of trading every hour for a paycheck. That's when you move from labor to leverage, from working hard to working smart. The question opens doors to investing, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. You no longer feel stuck because you realize you can learn, adjust, and climb. Most importantly, this kind of question inspires action. It pushes you to move, it builds self-belief, it removes excuses and puts the responsibility in your hands, and that's where all success begins, with ownership. You stop blaming the economy, your background, your boss, or your bank account. You start owning your future, you start taking control. So next time you see an opportunity, a course, a tool, a mentor, or a dream that feels out of reach, don't shut it down with "can I afford it?" Challenge yourself. Stretch yourself. Ask the wealth building question, "How can I afford it?" Then listen carefully. Your brain will go to work. Your heart will wake up. And if you act with intention and consistency, the answer will come. And so will the wealth. Wealth follows purpose and discipline. That's a truth not often taught in schools or spoken about in casual conversations, yet it is one of the foundational pillars of financial success. Most people believe wealth is about luck, inheritance, or being in the right place at the right time. But those who truly understand the process of wealth building know it is far more intentional. Wealth is not a product of chaos. It's a reward for purpose-driven effort managed with consistent discipline. Without direction, energy is wasted. Without discipline, potential is squandered. But when purpose and discipline align, they create a magnetic force that attracts opportunities, resources, and wealth. Purpose gives your actions meaning. When you know why you're working, learning, or saving, every decision becomes clearer. Purpose fuels passion, and passion drives performance. You're no longer waking up to survive. You're waking up to build something, to reach something, to live for something. That level of focus sets you apart. While others are distracted by trends or emotional decisions, you remain steady, anchored by a clear vision of the life you're building. That clarity becomes your competitive edge in a world full of noise. Discipline, on the other hand, is the daily structure that protects your purpose. It's the engine behind the dream. It's easy to feel motivated for a day, or even a week. But real wealth is built by the person who shows up even when the motivation fades. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's waking up early even when you don't feel like it. It's saving when you'd rather spend. It's saying no to comfort because you've said yes to growth. And this consistent effort compounds over time. That compound effect of small, disciplined actions repeated daily creates results that most people only dream of. People often admire the wealthy, but they rarely notice the years of focused effort that came before the visible success. Behind every wealthy individual is a story of purpose and sacrifice. There were days they could have given up but didn't. Times they could have played small but chose to stretch. The world might only see the result, but it's the hidden discipline behind the scenes that made it possible. Discipline also creates stability. Money is emotional for many people. They earn with hope and spend with impulse. But discipline introduces order. It tells your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It helps you build habits like budgeting, investing, planning, and long-term thinking. Wealthy people don't leave their finances to chance. They track, analyze, adjust, and improve. They don't fear discipline. They embrace it because they know it's what protects their purpose and secures their future. Even when life is unpredictable, purpose and discipline remain powerful constants. Markets go up and down, opportunities come and go, but if you are grounded in purpose and committed to discipline, you won't be shaken. You'll adapt, but you won't panic. You'll face challenges, but you won't fold. Because your actions aren't random, they're guided by a deeper mission and a set of principles that keep you on course. Another benefit of this mindset is that it attracts others. People want to work with, buy from, and invest in those who are clear and committed. Your purpose becomes magnetic. Your discipline becomes trustworthy. You start building a reputation for excellence and reliability, and wealth often follows reputation long before it shows up in your bank account. Jim Rohn emphasized that success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by becoming an attractive person. Purpose and discipline are two of the most attractive qualities you can develop. They make you dependable in a world that's inconsistent. They make you focused in a world that's distracted, and that makes you rare. And rare is valuable. Too many people wait to feel ready. They wait for the right mood, the perfect time, or a lucky break. But wealth doesn't wait. It rewards those who act with intention, who plan their days with discipline, who refuse to live by default. The truth is, if you don't design your life with purpose, someone else will use you to build theirs. And if you don't bring discipline to your habits, you'll end up stuck in cycles of regret, wishing you had started sooner. So today is the day to get clear. What do you really want? Why do you want it? What kind of person do you need to become to deserve it? Then ask yourself, are your daily actions aligned with that purpose? Are you living with the kind of discipline that will lead to that life? If not, adjust. Begin again, start small, but start now. Purpose gives you direction. Discipline takes you there, and together they unlock the kind of wealth that lasts, not just in your bank account, but in your confidence, your relationships, your impact, and your legacy. Wealth isn't looking for the loudest voice or the most desperate dreamer. It's looking for the person who knows what they want, why they want it, and is willing to work for it every single day. That person can be you. Chasing growth instead of money is one of the most powerful decisions a person can make on the path to lasting wealth. The truth is, money is a byproduct. It's a reflection of the value you bring, the problems you solve, and the person you become. But most people make the mistake of focusing only on the money. They chase paychecks high, paying jobs, shortcuts, and quick returns. And when the money doesn't come fast enough, they get frustrated or discouraged. But the real key is to shift the focus inward, toward growth, learning, mastery, and personal development, because money naturally flows to people who grow. When you chase growth, you make yourself more valuable to the world. You learn new skills, sharpen your thinking, improve your discipline, and build habits that increase your productivity. You start thinking in terms of contribution, not just compensation. And as your ability to contribute grows, so does your ability to earn. You begin to attract better opportunities because you've become the kind of person who can handle them. In the words of Jim Rohn, if you want to have more, you have to become more. It's not about getting lucky, it's about getting better. People who chase money often miss the deeper game. They may get short-term success, but it's rarely sustainable. They may earn a little more, but they remain stuck in cycles, working harder, feeling burned out, and never truly free. On the other hand, those who focus on growth start building a foundation that lasts. They develop a mindset that seeks improvement, not just results. And over time, that mindset creates momentum. You start where you are, grow consistently, and compound your skills and mindset into something unstoppable. Growth leads to confidence. When you know you're improving, learning, and adapting, you don't fear challenges. You don't fear failure. You understand that everything is part of the process. Setbacks become teachers, mistakes become lessons. You become emotionally stronger, mentally sharper, and more resilient with every experience. That's something money alone can never give you. Money might buy temporary comfort, but growth gives you lasting power. And with power comes wealth that is earned, deserved, and maintained. Chasing growth also keeps you humble and hungry. It reminds you that you're not entitled to success. You must evolve into the version of yourself that can handle success. You begin to look for mentors, books, environments, and habits that help you grow. You stop comparing yourself to others and instead focus on your own lane. Every day becomes a chance to grow 1% better. That's the wealth mind. Set progress over perfection, improvement over income, mastery over mediocrity. When you chase growth, you naturally start building things. You start thinking like a builder, not just a consumer. You ask better questions. You develop long-term thinking. You become the kind of person who creates systems, leads people, and multiplies value. And that's when money starts to chase you. Employers, clients, investors, and partners start to notice. Your name gets mentioned in rooms you're not even in. Opportunities knock, not because you begged for them, but because you've grown into someone who attracts them. This shift also brings clarity. When you chase money, you can easily lose focus or take paths that aren't aligned with your true purpose. But when you chase growth, you get clear about who you are and what you want to build. You start making choices that align with your values. You say no to distractions and yes to development. You stop chasing every shiny object and start committing to deep work. That focus builds mastery, and mastery pays. A person committed to growth doesn't need to prove themselves to anyone. Their results speak. Their attitude shows. Their effort is consistent. They don't talk about their future. They work toward it. They aren't dependent on motivation because they've built discipline. And discipline rooted in growth produces far more wealth than momentary hustle ever could. What's more, this mindset protects you from envy and entitlement. When you're focused on your growth, you stop worrying about what others have. You know your time is coming, not because you're wishing for it, but because you're working for it. You're becoming the kind of person who not only earns wealth, but sustains it with wisdom and humility. That's rare, and that rarity is what makes you valuable. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. Whether you're broke, stuck, unsure, or overwhelmed, growth is always available. You don't need to change your job overnight. You don't need to start a business tomorrow. You just need to commit to becoming better every single day. Read one more page, learn one new skill, improve one small habit, take one bold action. That's how you build momentum. That's how you unlock the person who creates wealth, not just once, but over and over again. When you stop chasing money and start chasing growth, you don't just become rich in your bank account. You become rich in knowledge, influence, confidence, and potential. That kind of wealth can't be stolen, lost, or spent away. It stays with you, grows with you, and eventually rewards you with far more than money could ever buy. Thinking like a producer, not just a consumer, is one of the most transformational shifts a person can make on the path to wealth. In today's world, consumption is constant. Everywhere you turn, there's something to buy, watch, eat, or scroll through. The economy is built on consumer behavior, and most people fall into the trap of spending more than they earn, chasing comfort, entertainment, or status. But the people who build wealth think differently. They don't just consume what's given. They create what others need. They don't just spend. They invest. They don't just buy. They build. That's the producer mindset. A consumer thinks short-term. Their focus is often on instant gratification. The latest phone, the trendiest clothes, the nicest car, even if it's on credit. A producer thinks long-term. They ask themselves, how can I turn this into something valuable? How can I build something that serves others and generates income again and again? Instead of being addicted to spending, they become obsessed with creating. That creation might be a product, a service, a brand, a skill set, or an idea, but it always revolves around providing value to others. Jim Rohn often spoke about working harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's the foundation of the producer mindset. While the consumer is watching TV, the producer is studying, learning, or working on a side hustle. While the consumer is spending money on things that lose value, the producer is putting money into tools, training, or investments that grow in value. The consumer buys what others market to them. The producer builds what others will one day buy. This mindset doesn't mean you have to stop enjoying life or living with comfort. It simply means you become intentional about how you use your time, energy, and money. You begin asking better questions. Before spending, you pause and ask, is this adding to my future or taking from it? Before wasting hours on distractions, you ask, could I be using this time to create something meaningful? That's how wealth-minded individuals separate themselves from the crowd. They aren't better or luckier. They're just thinking like creators, not just users. A consumer mindset leads to dependence. You wait for opportunities. You hope for pay raises. You react to trends. A producer mindset creates independence. You build your own income streams. You create opportunities. You don't wait for the economy. You design your economy. And this mindset brings confidence because you stop relying on external forces to improve your life. You realize you have the power to generate, innovate, and earn. One of the strongest signs of a wealth mindset is how you view money. The consumer sees money as something to spend. The producer sees money as a tool, a seed to plant. Instead of looking for what they can buy, they look for what they can build. They understand that wealth is not about income alone. It's about ownership. When you own something, a business, a product, a piece of intellectual property, you start to shift from linear income to leveraged income. You begin to make money even when you're not working. That's the difference between trading time for money and building something that pays you back over time. This mindset applies to every area of life. In your job, are you doing the bare minimum or are you looking for ways to improve, lead, and grow? In your relationships, are you just taking what you can get? Or are you giving and investing in others? In your finances, are you only consuming what's made, or are you learning how to create wealth for yourself and your family? Every moment is a choice between consuming or producing, and those small choices add up to a very big difference over time. Many people dream of freedom. They want to travel, work less, and enjoy life on their terms. But freedom doesn't come from spending. It comes from producing. The more you can produce value, whether it's through your skills, your voice, your ideas, or your business, the more you earn. And the more you earn, the more control you have over your time and your life. Even if you feel like you're starting at the bottom, you can still adopt the producer mindset. Start with what you have. Use your skills to help someone. Learn something new that can turn into a service. Build a small product or digital asset. Share your knowledge. Solve a problem. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to begin. Producers don't wait for permission. They get started, and they get better along the way. Thinking like a producer also makes you more resilient. Consumers panic when things go wrong because their resources are limited. Producers look for how they can pivot, create, or serve in a new way. They see problems as opportunities. They adapt. They grow. They win not by luck but by mindset. The more you shift your thinking from consuming to producing, the more powerful you become. You stop being a passive player in the economy and start becoming a creator within it. That's the beginning of true wealth, when you realize that your ideas, skills, and efforts are more valuable than anything you could ever buy. Success is not about chasing every opportunity that comes your way. It's about finding one idea that resonates with your vision and executing it with relentless focus and consistency. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and 100 different paths, the most successful people are not those who do everything. They are the ones who commit deeply to doing one thing exceptionally well. This is the power of obsessive execution. It's about taking a single concept, a single business, a single skill, or a single dream and pouring your energy into it until it becomes undeniable. One idea, when acted upon with total conviction and long-term discipline, can completely transform your life. Most people fail not because they don't have good ideas, but because they don't follow through. They start something and then jump to the next. They get excited about a new opportunity, but when results don't come fast, they quit or get distracted by something shinier. That pattern repeats, and years go by with nothing to show for it. The wealth mindset is different. It doesn't look for stimulation. It looks for stability. Wealthy individuals don't need 10 things to work. They need one thing to work, and they're willing to work it until it does. When you execute obsessively, you move past the surface level. You get better, sharper, more skilled. You begin to see insights others miss because you've been in the field long enough to understand the nuances. Mastery comes from repetition. Confidence comes from progress. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Small wins compound. Skills stack. Momentum builds. What seemed impossible a year ago starts to feel natural, simply because you stayed with it. Jim Rohn often said, "Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals." Obsessive execution is about applying those fundamentals day after day with patience and determination. You don't get distracted by the results of others. You don't waste time comparing journeys. You stay in your lane and focus on your craft. You understand that real results are often delayed. The seeds you plant today may not grow for months or years, but if you water them daily, the harvest will come. The truth is, most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. They want immediate results, so they hop from one thing to another, but wealth is a long-term game. It's not for the easily bored or easily discouraged. It's for those who can see the big picture and work with tunnel vision. That's what obsessive execution gives you: clarity, direction, and the power of momentum. Think about every person who built lasting success. They didn't win by doing everything. They won by committing to something specific. Steve Jobs focused Apple on a few core products with excellence. Warren Buffett made his fortune by sticking to simple investing principles and compounding over decades. Even Jim Rohn didn't try to be everything to everyone. He focused on teaching personal development, communication, and mindset. In every case, success came from sustained execution of a clear idea, not from chasing every possibility. Obsession in this context is not about burnout or unhealthy pressure. It's about being deeply committed to your mission. It's about loving the process enough to stay when it's hard, to adjust when needed, and to keep showing up when most would quit. When you execute with this level of focus, you don't have to rely on luck. You create your own momentum. You force the doors to open through preparation and persistence. Another key part of this mindset is learning to say no. You can't say yes to every opportunity and still give your best to the one thing that matters most. Distraction is the enemy of greatness. Every yes to something new is a no to something you're already building. That doesn't mean you can't pivot or improve your strategy, but it does mean you need to protect your energy. Your future depends on how consistently you can direct your efforts toward one meaningful goal. As you keep executing, you'll get better at adapting. You'll discover smarter ways to work, stronger habits to build, and better people to collaborate with. Execution isn't about blindly repeating the same action. It's about refining, evolving, and growing within your focus. That's how results multiply over time. What begins as a small effort grows into a system, a business, a brand, or a skill set that changes your life forever. When you execute obsessively on one good idea, you become reliable in a world of inconsistency. You stand out simply by not quitting. You gain respect not through speed, but through endurance. That's how wealth is built, not overnight, but over time, with a clear plan and daily action. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need a perfect strategy. You just need to choose something worth building, and then commit to building it brick by brick. That's the wealth secret most people ignore. It's not about more ideas. It's about more focus. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right thing until it pays off. One good idea, executed with obsession, has more power than 100 scattered efforts. That's how you go from average to unstoppable. That's how you build wealth that lasts. Living today like your future self is watching is one of the most powerful philosophies you can adopt for long-term success and wealth. It brings accountability into the present. It forces you to think beyond comfort, distractions, and temporary feelings. Instead of making decisions based on what's easy right now, you begin to act with a deep sense of responsibility toward the person you're becoming. This mindset reframes your daily habits, your attitude, and even how you handle money. You're no longer just existing day to day. You're building a life that your future self will thank you for. Every action you take today creates a result you will face tomorrow. Most people think their future will magically improve without intentional change. But the truth is, your future is a mirror of your present choices. If you're lazy with your time today, you'll face regret later. If you neglect your health, you'll deal with the consequences. If you spend carelessly, your financial future will be unstable. On the other hand, if you read a few pages each day, work on your goals even when no one is watching, stay disciplined when distractions call you, begin to build a future that is secure, meaningful, and full of opportunity. Imagine your future self standing right behind you every moment of the day, watching your choices silently. Would you still scroll endlessly on your phone? Would you still waste time gossiping, procrastinating, or blaming others? Or would you straighten up, focus harder, and give more of your potential? That future version of you depends on the version of you that shows up today. The future doesn't change by accident. It changes when the present is handled with intention and awareness. Jim Rohn often emphasized that your personal philosophy determines your future. That means how you think, how you see yourself, how you interpret the world. All of that impacts the life you're creating. When you think like your future self is observing your discipline, your spending habits, your learning, your emotional control, and your relationships, you naturally elevate your standards. You realize that the small decisions matter. The snooze button matters, the unhealthy meal matters, the ignored budget matters, the abandoned goal matters, because repeated over time, they either build your legacy or destroy it. Living with this mindset also cultivates self-respect. You start making choices not because someone else is watching, but because you respect yourself enough to act in alignment with your values. You no longer settle for less than you're capable of. You stop making excuses. You begin to feel a new level of motivation, not the fleeting kind, but the kind that's rooted in identity. You stop asking, "What do I feel like doing?" and start asking, "What would my future self want me to do right now?" This kind of thinking transforms how you treat your time. Time becomes your most precious asset, not to be wasted on mindless entertainment or negativity. You begin to see every hour as an investment, every conversation as an opportunity, and every day as a building block. That's the mentality of people who create massive success. They don't gamble with time, they guard it. They don't just spend their days, they invest them with purpose. Your future self also benefits from how you handle money today. When you spend recklessly in the present, you're borrowing happiness from your future and replacing it with stress. But when you save, invest, and make wise financial choices, you're giving your future self freedom, peace, and options. Every dollar you put to work today becomes a silent worker for your future. Wealth isn't built in a moment. It's built in countless small, smart decisions that compound over years. The same goes for health. Your future body is created by how you move, eat, and rest today. Neglect creates regret. Discipline creates reward. You might not see the effects immediately, but they're accumulating silently. Whether it's your physical health, your emotional resilience, or your mental clarity, your future self is being shaped one choice at a time. Even your relationships reflect this principle. Are you building a reputation of integrity, or are you damaging trust through careless words and actions? The people around you today will either want to help you grow or watch you fall, depending on how you treat them. Your future network, your support system, your opportunities, many of them will be determined by the seeds you're planting in how you treat people right now. It's easy to ignore the future. It doesn't scream at you, it whispers, and the sad truth is, most people only start listening when it's too late, when the opportunities are gone, when the time has run out, when the health is lost, when the bills are due. But those who live like the future is watching never have to panic. They stay ready, they build steady, they create a future worth stepping into because they live the present with purpose. This mindset is the ultimate form of delayed gratification. It's choosing progress over pleasure, growth over comfort, and principles over popularity. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Every small decision to do the right thing, even when it's hard, becomes a brick in the foundation of a life that lasts. And when your future self finally arrives, they won't have to start over. They'll be able to look back and say, "Thank you, you did it right." That is wealth, that is freedom, and that is the power of living today like your future self is watching.